everyone. Thanks for joining in today. My name is Ashley Parker, but I go by my last name, so you can just call me Parker. And I'm the health educator in risk services. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to explore some strategies on how to manage our stress and create more space for the things that matter to us this holiday season. Stress is an evolutionary mechanism to help us escape from danger. It's a physical or mental response to a threat, and it can help us become aware and motivate us to take action. We have acute stress, which is sudden in onset, and it can result in a rush of stress hormones, sudden anxiety, changes to your breathing, and these are parts of the fight or flight reaction. You may have experienced this if you lost your wallet or you're sitting in traffic late for your next activity. Obviously, as we see here, the stresses of modern day life don't usually cause us any immediate physical stress, and there is additionally sometimes more persistent stress. And that low-grade long-term stress is known as chronic stress, and it can impair concentration, your mood, maybe your memory, and it may even affect your relationships and productivity. Physically, you may experience headaches or sleep problems or digestive problems, but it can manifest in many ways, and it's different for everyone. If any of these issues are interfering with your days, I encourage you to get checked out by your doctor just to rule out any medical conditions. Also, there is the perception of stress. Eustress is the perception of an exciting challenge, and this is what we call the good stress. It motivates us to do well. Whereas distress is overwhelming and feels uncontrollable, and so that can contribute to our feelings of acute and chronic stress. Sometimes we just know that we're stressed, but it can really benefit us to take a pause and to understand the source. So what might stress us out around the holidays? We might have deadlines at work, a ton of social commitments, financial considerations, travel. Maybe we don't have as much personal time as we want. Then we can go a step further and get to know our experiences and our reactions to stress. So, do we withdraw? Do we lose focus? Do we reach out? Maybe what do we do to help us feel better? These are all questions that we can use to help determine the best tools to equip our stress management plan with. The practices of stress management are also forms of self-care. These are the things that we do to improve our health or to preserve our good health. We have a more holistic approach here that addresses more than just physical well-being, and this overall lifestyle consideration can help to keep stress under control. The hope is that if we practice self-care in all of these areas, we have an abundance of tools and peace of mind to handle stress. So first, we have some relaxation techniques, and these are things that you can use in the moment to help bring you back to a more grounded state and allow you to regain a little bit more control of your body and your mind. So I invite you to practice these exercises with me, and practicing these things that help to reduce stress while we are calm can help us pull it out of our back pocket in the times that we need it most. So if you would like to join, just settle in comfortably in your seat and taking some slow, easy breaths. I'll go ahead and explain. The first one will be practicing some belly breathing, and this is the practice of taking deep controlled breaths utilizing the full expanse of our lungs. And this contrasts from our day-to-day breathing, where we tend to take pretty shallow breaths. And so this helps us take more conscious breaths and allows us to feel more focused. And so to get started, on your next inhale, breathe in deeply. And then exhale all the way. On your inhale, inhale slowly, directing the air to the bottom of our bellies, then to the middle of our diaphragm, and finally to the top of our chests. Releasing slowly in reverse from our chests to the middle of our diaphragms, and emptying from the bottom of our bellies. And on our next inhale, filling through the belly up to the diaphragm, and then finally the top of our chests, and releasing slowly in reverse from our chests down to our diaphragm, and emptying completely from our bellies. On your next inhale, deep breath in and deep breath out. Thanks for joining. If you did, I really like this to bring my focus back in alignment. Our next breathing exercise is called box breathing, and this is my favorite for when I'm experiencing anxiety, and I'll even do this in public or even in the presence of others because it's an easy, discreet way to do controlled breathing. And so if you'd like to join, again, just settle in easy and taking easy, slow breaths. For box breathing, the idea is that we're holding each stage of the breath for a count of 4. So that will be a slow inhale for a count of 4, holding our breath at the top of the breath for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, and then holding our breath at the bottom for a count of 4, and then continuing on. All right, so if you would like to join me, again, a deep breath in on your inhale, and deep breath out, exhale, and your next inhale, breathe in slow for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, deep breath in, and then deep breath out. Thanks for trying this along with me. I hope if you joined in, you feel a little bit more calm. Doing breathing exercises brings intentionality into our breath and helps to give us more focus. And so that's why they're so beneficial. Our next method is called the 5 sense method, and this is very good if you are in need of extra grounding, and it can help with recentering our minds and also bringing us back into our bodies. And we're calling to mind our 5 senses to accomplish all of this as well, our 5 major senses. And so the first sense we use is our sense of sight. And what we're doing is we're looking for 5 things around us. It can be anything. Maybe you lump things into categories. Maybe you look at trees outside or items around your desks, but we're finding 5 things that we can see. Next, we go down to 4 and listen for 4 things that we can hear. Maybe there is a conversation going on nearby, footsteps, birds, a car driving past, just 4 things that you can hear. Then we move on to 3 things that we can feel. Maybe we feel a draft of air, clothes against our skin, the sturdiness of the floor supporting our feet. And next, we search for 2 things we smell. Maybe we're outside and we can smell the trees. Maybe we have the scent of soap on our hands, like that. And then finally, we search for 1 thing that we can taste. Maybe there's toothpaste or the snack from earlier, or a sip of water, and you might even try a sour candy. And so using our 5 major senses in that way can help to bring us out of our mind and refocus it on other things around us. After you do complete any of these, I also invite you to take a pause and to notice if there's anything different in how you feel. Next on our list is meditation and mindfulness, which is a fantastic practice for noticing. Just about every stress management list is going to have these as probably the most impactful, because studies just prove this time and time again to work. They even show that just 1 to 2 sessions a week can decrease stress levels, which is not a big time investment at all. For those who are curious, the point of meditation is not to get good at it, nor is it to not have any thoughts, but instead, the point is to help us nudge ourselves back into the present moment. And so when we do notice thoughts, we observe them without any judgment and approach ourselves instead with kindness and curiosity. And then we can practice letting go of those thoughts and redirecting our attention back to the present, back to our breath. And I also like to view meditation as a practice. As we do it over time and we grow and become more familiar, it can get easier, but every day is different. Maybe it's not. I do recognize that meditation is not for everyone, and that's totally fine. We're exploring our options that might work for us. And it did definitely take me a while to come around to it. And so if this is something that you've been wondering about, I invite you to join me on this mini meditation. So to start, it is important to find a place with minimal distractions. Hopefully it's quiet. And go ahead and close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or gently rest your gaze down and in front of you and focus on your breathing. I invite you to take notice. What do you feel? What is the temperature of the air when you're breathing in? And how much moisture is in your breath as you exhale? If your mind wanders, that is okay and totally normal. Notice the thought without any judgment, and then let the thought pass. Redirect your mind back to your breathing. On your next inhale, take a big clearing breath in. And when you cannot fill your lungs anymore, take in a little bit more sip of air. And then exhale everything out. Gently blink your eyes open if they're closed, and go ahead and come back. So that's all there is to our mini meditation. Thanks for joining me. Like I said, there are many different forms. There are mantra meditations, there are sound, music, you may even do walking meditations. We just dedicated a new labyrinth in the Basking Engineering Circle, and so if you would like to go on a walking meditation, that's a great place to check out. And starting small is really a great way to get started if you're new to meditation. So if you want to learn more, definitely look out for the resources that I send out. They will have a lot that you can look into. So we just discussed some things that we can use in the moment to help us refocus our minds. Now we'll get into a little bit of positive psychology, and that can help us focus on the good around us and also increase our resilience. Gratitude journaling can be pretty powerful, and even journaling in general can help us to expand our mindfulness and also our understanding of ourselves. The first prompt is our traditional gratitude journaling. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Classic. The next option is to write down 3 good things that have happened to you today. I think that's such a nice idea. If we start to look at our days like this and search for the good things, what would life look like for us? Hopefully less stressful. The last one is my favorite, to write down 3 things that you did well today. We all do great things every day, and so I challenge you to acknowledge all the great things that you do and fill yourself up with internal validation. Fill yourself up with internal validation. I know this can sound really crazy to some people, so if you want to ease yourself into it, tell yourself good job for even the smallest things. You made coffee in the morning because that is an act of self-care. Good job, me. It gets easier as you go, and you'll find yourself soon appreciating yourself for more things and bigger things about yourselves and also your days. Now we're going to talk about some time savers and lifestyle habits that can help set us up to handle stress that comes our way. Sometimes our days can be back-to-back meetings and tasks and projects, and then we get home and there's even more on our to-do list there. So, of course, a way to start your day is to get organized and getting clear on the day's goals and top priorities. And those priorities can really help us to structure the rest of our day. Maybe you are already plenty organized. So maybe taking some time to evaluate if your schedule is optimized to give you the best workflow. In the blocks of time that we do have, we can be thinking about how our time is best used and also considering how our brains are best used. So we can optimize blocks of time for deep thinking when we have the most mental energy, and then also time for quick tasks when we don't. If you have a project that needs attention, you might consider blocking off time in your calendar to make sure that you're available to get it done. Next, giving yourself time constraints on projects can potentially add a ton of time to your day. It is a practice balancing producing high quality work while also letting go of perfectionism. So, of course, use it when appropriate. One method you might want to try is called the Pomodoro technique. It involves blocking off time for work and then following up with a short break. So you might do 30 minutes of work and 5 minutes of break. Next, we have using AI. I took a long time myself to come around to it, but I'm linking a tutorial that was very helpful in learning how to phrase effective prompts. So you can really use programs like this to your advantage. It can help you do things like brainstorm ideas, generate lists, but you can also use it to free up time in your personal life, like generating a meal plan based on your favorite foods or foods that you have in your house already. You can even use it to generate a party planning checklists. So lots of things that you can do there. And then lastly, I encourage you to take your breaks. It gives you a chance to regather your brain cells and regenerate some energy before moving on to your next adventure. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about boundaries. They're a tool to create space for the things that are most important for us. It's really easy to end up getting stretched too thin, especially around the holidays, which is why practicing boundary setting can be so important. They can help us avoid feeling overwhelmed or even being very physically exhausted from just doing too much. And over time, these feelings can lead to burnout, which we obviously would like to avoid. The idea of setting a boundary with someone, though, can feel pretty uncomfortable at first because most of us have been taught that saying no to someone is selfish or mean when we can, in fact, do their request. But that's not quite fair. If you say yes to something, then you're saying no to something else. And so we want to be avoiding saying no to ourselves. So to get started, being clear on our priorities and what our goals and our values are can help to direct our decisions for opportunities that others present to us. We can decide whether or not they're in alignment with the things that we care about and decide on whether or not we'd like to do them. But in responding to those, having a planned response can be really helpful. Obviously, saying yes, I would love to go out to lunch is very easy, but saying no in the moment can be a little bit harder. And so planning that no and having something like, I'm so sorry, I'm not able to help this year, like in your back pocket, you've practiced it, it's ready, it makes it so much easier. Also, you might plan for some maybes because it might not be realistic to avoid everything that you don't want for whatever reason. But you can also decide on how to follow through. So, yes, I can go, but just for an hour, something like that. If someone challenges you, though, it can be an opportunity to explain the impacts on yourself because people want us to be around them. They enjoy us and miss us in many cases. So it's no surprise you might get some pushback, but sharing the impacts on you, such as, thanks so much for your invitation, but I'm going to have to pass because I'm stretched too thin, can be a gracious and caring and gentle response. And so being so and setting boundaries in that way is an act of self-care for you, but also is very considerate of the person that you're responding to. Now, for some lifestyle, physical activity is a great way to cope with stress. It can also boost your mood and self-esteem while lowering anxiety. Whatever you do, it's just important that you can get your body moving the best you can, and not forgetting that all movement counts. So whatever it is, make it fun, make it easy to do, make it hard to say no, make it something that you can look forward to. Being consistent is key. So maybe you do a morning walk or desk exercises before lunch, but also things like gardening and running errands, or doing chores. Like, those are things that all count as movement too. This can also be a great opportunity to invite your family to play games or go on an after meal walk, which helps to lower blood sugar as well, so bonus. Movement is really effective because it not only provides us health benefits and helps with our metabolism and blood sugar control as well, but exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. A quick note on nature. Experiencing nature can help to reduce stress and stimulate our rest and digest state. And studies show that along with improvements in stress, nature can also help to improve mental health while also reducing the risk of chronic diseases. A fascinating note, though, is there's even evidence that you can get these benefits from being like nature adjacent. So looking at a window or at a picture, maybe even setting the background of your desktop to a nature scene, can also help with grounding you in the present. And so if this is your sign to get a desk plant, I fully support you. Now let's talk about how we can make our food work for us. Because believe it or not, healthy eating habits can also improve our mood and decrease stress. Studies show improved mental health even with just one added serving of fruits and vegetables. The greatest were seen with 6 or more, but even adding just one has shown benefit. On the other hand, when we have ultra-processed foods, research even shows that we tend to eat more of these during times of stress, and these typically are high in refined carbohydrates, high in added sugars, low in protein, lack of fiber. These types of foods may lead to inflammation and increased risks for chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So while these ultra-processed, really yummy, but maybe not so nutrient-dense foods, they can provide us comfort in the moment when we're stressed, but if that becomes a habit, it can do harm to us long-term. Now, when it comes to all of the treats and holiday dinners and celebrations and potlucks, my advice is to do your best. You can grant yourself permission to partake in the festivities and not feel bad about it. Maybe taking the time to practice a little bit of mindfulness and take a mini pause to appreciate the flavors, to enjoy the colors and the textures. And it may be a surprise, but eating breakfast and staying fed throughout the day can help you practice mindfulness and avoid overeating later in the day. When you fill your plate, you might even practice an additive mindset, which means that we're looking for things to add nutrition to our plates alongside the things that we're already eating. So we're not necessarily taking things away. We're looking at what more can we add. all foods can fit in the context of a healthy diet, and there's many more reasons to eat besides nutrition too. But keeping in mind that this time of year can really be a test of boundaries, so be keeping in mind your goals and let go of things and ideas that don't serve you. So we talked about a few strategies to help get our stress levels under control in the moment, as well as some lifestyle habits that can be helpful. And these will also help to feed into getting more restful sleep. And then likewise, getting restful sleep can also feed into better stress management. Obviously, late night celebrations are very popular this time of year. So let's try to hang out in the left column with these meditative practices as much as we can to bring us back into alignment, especially after all the excitement and the stimulation from the holidays. Last but not least, let's be prioritizing mental self-care. Practicing some of these tools can help to make your mind stronger, something like exercising a muscle, but sometimes stress can really start to take over and become very overwhelming, especially around the holidays, which also happen to be a time that makes processing grief a little bit harder and very confronting. And of course, this can be a source of stress and anxiety. And so if that is you, I am truly sorry for any losses that you experienced. And I know that we can't take these feelings away, but maybe we can find some peace in mind acknowledging it and creating space so we can receive support. Likewise, if you feel called to approach a loved one who is grieving, it may be helpful to be direct and say something like, "I know you're hurting, and I'm sorry, and I want you to know that I'm thinking about you and your loved one." Take some comfort in knowing it can be healing to talk about it and to share memories, but also being patient and providing multiple opportunities to support. Of course, hold space and patience. Afterwards, you want to be sure to practice self-care as well so you can fill yourself back up. If feelings of stress are interfering with your ability to get through the day on most days, there is a lot of support available to you. The Employee Assistance Program offers free short-term counseling for employees and family members, and I also encourage you to look into the options through your health insurance. Getting that social connection in and reaching out to loved ones can help us feel connected and give us more space to process stress with their support along your side. So be thinking about who are the people that fill you up with love and positivity, and what connections can you make in your community. Especially during the holidays, volunteering can be a great opportunity with a lot of positivity that can provide so much fulfillment to you too. And lastly, make some time for the activities that are good for your soul. If you're a creator, do you make time to create? If you're a reader, do you have a little bit of time to read? If you like working out, are you able to get that workout in? And I say this because sometimes when things start to get very stressful, the things we love doing the most, the things we love doing for ourselves the most, are often the first things to go. And we're left taking care of everyone else. And we are left tired at the end of the day and are just running on fumes, very little gas in the tank. Especially during the holidays, it's so important to make time for yourself so you can recharge, be there for you, and then you can show up and be there for others. For a quick recap, today we went over some breathing techniques, some meditations, and positive psychology tips to help reorient our mind to stress. And then we talked about time management, boundaries, and how healthy lifestyle habits all play into stress management. So let's try some different techniques and find what works best. This time of year can feel really energized and charged, and so it's so important to be sprinkling in some of these strategies and making space so we can best support ourselves around the holidays. So thank you all for being here with me today. I hope you have very happy holidays and a happy new year. If you could take just a minute to fill out the follow-up survey and let us know what you thought of this workshop. I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate you.